What if I told you that you've never actually seen the real world? It sounds ridiculous. After all, you're looking around right now. You can see the room you're in, you can hear sounds around you, you can probably feel the weight of your phone or your headphones. It all feels completely real. But here's the unsettling truth. Everything you experience is a simulation created inside your own head, not a perfect copy of reality. Just the version your brain believes is useful enough to keep you alive. And those are two very different things.
Right now, your brain is hiding information from you. It's changing what you see, rewriting what you remember, influencing decisions before you're even aware you've made them. The strangest part? It has been doing this every second of your life, without your permission, without you ever noticing. You probably think your eyes work like cameras. Light enters your eyes, your brain records the image, that's the world you see. Simple. Except that's not what happens. Your eyes collect surprisingly little information compared to what your brain actually shows you. Think of your brain less like a camera and more like an artist. Every second, it receives incomplete pieces of information, tiny fragments. Then it fills in everything that's missing. It guesses, it predicts, it edits. Most of the time, those predictions are incredibly accurate, but sometimes they're completely wrong. And when that happens, you don't notice reality changing because your brain changes reality before you ever become conscious of it. Here's a simple example. Without moving your eyes, try to remember exactly what's behind you right now. Not what you think is behind you, what is actually behind you. You can't know for sure. Your brain creates a mental picture based on memory and expectation. It feels real, but it's just a prediction. Scientists now believe that your brain spends much of its time predicting what's about to happen instead of waiting for information to arrive. Imagine watching a movie with terrible internet. Instead of waiting for every frame to load, your computer tries to guess what the next frame will look like. Most of the time, it guesses correctly. Occasionally, it doesn't. Your brain works in a surprisingly similar way. Reality simply corrects the mistakes. Take your vision, for example. Most people have no idea that every human eye contains a blind spot, a literal hole in your vision. There's an area on your retina where the optic nerve connects to the eye. That area has no light-sensitive cells, none. If your vision worked like a camera, you'd constantly see a black circle floating somewhere in front of you, but you never do. Your brain quietly paints over the missing information. It copies nearby colors, nearby textures, nearby shapes. Then it blends everything together so perfectly that you never realized anything was missing. Think about that for a second. For your entire life, your brain has been photoshopping reality, and you never noticed. Every second, your senses collect an enormous amount of information, far more than you could ever consciously process. The feeling of your clothes, the sound of distant traffic, tiny movements in your peripheral vision, the temperature of the air around your face, your heartbeat, your breathing, the pressure under your feet. If your brain allowed all of that into your conscious mind at once, you'd be overwhelmed almost instantly. So instead, it filters, it deletes, it prioritizes. Right now, as you're listening to this, your brain is ignoring thousands of sensations that actually exist, not because they disappeared, because your brain decided they weren't important. Sometimes it makes the wrong decision. Sometimes it ignores things that matter. Sometimes it invents details that never existed at all. Which leads to an uncomfortable question. If your brain is already willing to change what you see, what else has it been changing your entire life? The answer becomes even more disturbing once we look at something most people trust without question: their memories. Memory feels permanent. You probably remember your first day of school, your childhood bedroom, your first kiss, maybe your most embarrassing moment. Those memories feel like recordings stored somewhere inside your brain, waiting to be replayed whenever you need them. But that's one of the biggest illusions your mind has ever created.
Your brain doesn't replay memories. It rebuilds them every single time. Imagine opening an old document every day. You read it, you accidentally change a single sentence, then you save it again. Now, imagine doing that hundreds of times over 20 years. Eventually, it's no longer the same document.
That's surprisingly close to how memory actually works. Every time you remember something, your brain reconstructs it. Some pieces come from the original experience, others come from emotions. Some come from stories you've heard, some come from things you imagined years later. Then your brain blends everything together into one believable memory.
The incredible part, it feels completely real, even when parts of it never happened. Scientists have demonstrated this in remarkable experiments. In one famous study, volunteers were repeatedly told they had become lost in a shopping mall as children. The event was completely fictional. It never happened.
At first, most participants rejected the story, but after hearing it several times, something unexpected happened. Many began remembering it, not just believing it, remembering it. They described the stores, the people around them, the fear they felt. Some even remembered who eventually rescued them.
None of those memories were real, yet the emotions were. The details felt authentic. Their brains had quietly created an entirely false experience, not because they were lying, but because memory isn't designed to preserve history. It's designed to build a story that makes sense.
Think about what that means. How many of your childhood memories are perfectly accurate? How many conversations happened exactly the way you remember them? The truth is, nobody knows. Every time you revisit a memory, you slightly change it. Then you store the new version.
Your identity is built on those memories. Your personality, your fears, your confidence, your regrets, your happiest moments. If memories slowly change, then in a way, so do you. Little by little, without realizing it. But memory isn't the only thing your brain manipulates. It also influences your decisions. And here's where things become even stranger. Imagine choosing between two identical objects. It feels like a conscious decision. You believe you carefully weighed the options. But neuroscience tells a different story.
In several experiments, researchers detected patterns of brain activity seconds before participants reported making a conscious choice. Their brains had already begun preparing the decision. Only afterward did participants become aware of choosing. Your conscious mind wasn't leading the process, it was catching up.
That doesn't necessarily mean free will is an illusion. Scientists still debate exactly what these findings mean, but they do suggest something fascinating. Your conscious mind may play a much smaller role than you imagine. Much of what you call a decision may begin long before you become aware of it. Have you ever instantly liked someone? Or immediately felt uncomfortable around another person? Only later did you explain why. They seemed trustworthy. They reminded me of someone. They had a strange attitude. But those explanations often come afterward. Your brain made the emotional judgment first, then created the story to justify it.
Psychologists call these mental shortcuts heuristics. Without them, life would be painfully slow. Imagine carefully analyzing every possible outcome before deciding what to eat for breakfast, or which route to take home, or how to answer a simple text message. Your brain creates shortcuts because speed often matters more than perfection.
Most of the time, those shortcuts help you. But sometimes they become invisible traps. They make you trust the wrong people, fear harmless situations, ignore incredible opportunities. And perhaps the most powerful shortcut of all is something called confirmation bias. Because once your brain believes something, it quietly begins rewriting reality to prove itself right.
Confirmation bias is one of the most powerful tricks your brain has ever learned. Once your mind reaches a conclusion, it quietly starts searching for evidence that proves it's right. At the very same time, it ignores evidence that proves it's wrong. Without realizing it, you stop investigating reality. You start defending it.
Imagine believing that dogs are friendlier than cats. Every friendly dog reinforces your belief. Every aggressive dog becomes an exception. Every affectionate cat is dismissed as unusual. Your brain isn't collecting objective evidence anymore. It's protecting the story it already believes.
The strange part is, this happens to everyone. It affects your opinions, your relationships, your political views, your career, even the way you see yourself. The more certain you become about something, the harder it becomes to notice you're wrong.
Ironically, being intelligent doesn't always protect you. Sometimes it makes the bias even stronger, because intelligent people are often better at creating convincing explanations for beliefs they already hold. Your brain isn't asking what's true, it's asking how can I make this belief feel true?
Now let's look at something even stranger. Have you ever heard about the placebo effect? Imagine taking a pill that contains absolutely no medicine, just sugar, no active ingredients, nothing that should affect your body. And yet, your pain begins to disappear.
This isn't imagination. Scientists have observed it thousands of times. When people genuinely believe they're receiving treatment, their brains often respond as if they actually did. Pain decreases, stress levels fall, even brain activity can change. Expectation alone can produce measurable physical effects.
Now imagine the opposite. Someone tells you a harmless substance will make you feel sick. A few minutes later, you develop a headache. You feel nauseous. Your stomach tightens. Nothing dangerous entered your body. Your expectation created the symptoms. This is known as the nocebo effect.
Think about how extraordinary that is. Your beliefs don't just shape your thoughts, they can influence your physical body. Which raises another question. Why would evolution create a brain that works this way? Because survival has always been more important than accuracy. Imagine living thousands of years ago. You hear a sound in the bushes. It could be the wind, or it could be a predator. The person who assumed it was dangerous usually survived. The person who waited for perfect evidence sometimes didn't. Your brain inherited that cautious strategy.
The problem is, your brain still uses that ancient survival software today, except the threats have changed. You're no longer worried about predators hiding in the forest. You're worried about unread messages, embarrassing moments, job interviews, social media comments. Yet your brain often reacts exactly the same way. Your heart races, your breathing changes, stress hormones flood your body. Not because your life is actually in danger, but because your brain believes social rejection feels similar to physical danger. For our ancestors, being rejected by the group could mean death. Your brain never forgot that lesson. Here's the good news. Your brain isn't fixed. For decades, scientists believed the adult brain couldn't change very much. Today, we know that's completely false. Your brain is constantly rewiring itself. Every habit you repeat strengthens certain neural pathways. Every new experience creates new connections.
This ability is called neuroplasticity.
And it might be one of the most hopeful discoveries in modern neuroscience, because it means your brain isn't your destiny, it's adaptable. The same brain that creates anxiety can learn calm. The same brain that creates limiting beliefs can replace them with healthier ones.
You'll never eliminate every illusion. No one can. Your brain will always take shortcuts. It will always predict, filter, fill in gaps, rewrite memories. That's simply how it works. But awareness changes everything.
Once you understand these tricks, you stop treating every thought as a fact. You question your first impression. You become more curious, more skeptical, more open to changing your mind. Instead of asking, "Am I right?" you begin asking, "What might my brain be missing?"
And perhaps that's the biggest lesson of all. Reality isn't something your brain simply observes. It's something your brain actively builds. Every color you see, every memory you treasure, every opinion you defend, every fear you carry, has already been filtered through billions of neurons making predictions every second.
The world you've experienced your entire life isn't reality itself. It's your brain's best interpretation of reality. An incredibly sophisticated model, usually accurate, sometimes completely wrong. And once you truly understand that, you begin to see yourself differently. So the next time you're absolutely certain about something, take one extra second and ask yourself a simple question. Am I seeing the world as it really is, or am I seeing the version my brain has constructed for me? Because sometimes the greatest illusion isn't out there. It's the one inside your own mind. If you enjoyed this journey into the human brain, subscribe for more videos exploring psychology, neuroscience, and the hidden mechanisms that shape the way we think, feel, and experience reality.